Ron McDowell, and from Reform UK, Ben Habib. Welcome to both of you. Good to have you with us back in the studio, Ron. Ben, good to have you down the line again. We're going to have to get you into a studio here with us at some point. Ben, good to have you on the programme again. Ron, first of all, for you, I mean, given what we've just heard from Brendan, maybe I don't even need to ask this question, but what's the real benefit for the TUV of this kind of electoral partnership?
This is a real good news story. Quite often,
for you it is, not for the DUP by the sound of it.
Quite often when the TUV are on Talkback or any of the other media outlets, it's as that contrary voice to argue against something, and it's always negativity. But this is a positive story for unionism. Pooling the resources of Reform UK and TUV is an exciting development for the Westminster election. The die was cast, obviously, with the signing of the Windsor Framework and the return to government by the Democratic Unionist Party. And we're really pleased that coming together with Reform UK, we're ambitious that we want to give every single person in Northern Ireland a vote on the Windsor Framework and what has happened.
Does that mean you want to stand in every constituency?
We would like to give every single person in Northern Ireland the opportunity to vote for a TUV reform anti-protocol candidate.
You want to stand in every constituency?
That's every single person in Northern Ireland.
You're parsing that answer.
No, because...
What's going on there? Is Reform going to stand in some constituencies as Reform and TUV as TUV in others?
Well, at the minute all we have is this referendum, or this memorandum of understanding. The minutiae of that, how that's going to play itself out, we haven't came to a full decision on that with Reform. Those talks are taking place. But we are adamant that this is the fight in front of us.
What's your preference? Would you like a TUV candidate in every constituency? If you could afford it. It costs a lot of money to run candidates.
No, I think that the morale boost for unionism and having a pan-UK vote is going to be to the benefits of unionism. And quite often we've been accused and we've been down on ourselves and we're saying that unionism is now having its gaze turned from east to south.
Yeah.
Well, this is a firm chance for unionism to have its gaze turned back from the south and look to east and the benefits of a UK.
I just want to get some clarity on this point for someone who wants to vote TUV in the next election, wherever they happen to be, and they're saying, can you say to me, please put that pen down, but can you say to me for sure, I will have the option of voting for a TUV candidate no matter what my constituency is?
They will have the option to vote for an anti-protocol, an anti-Windsor Framework candidate. Right. If they have decided that... But
what I take from that is either TUV or Reform UK branding. They'll have one or the other. Is that what you're saying?
That's what we hope. That's early stages of a conversation.
Let me bring Ben in. Ben, is that your understanding of what this partnership means? We've got Ben back, so let me just put it to him. Is that the plan? Just to give some clarity to our listeners, Ben, that you will be running a candidate who will either be TUV or Reform UK in every one of our Northern Ireland Westminster constituencies.
So if I can just step back from that question for a second, and by the way, I'm sorry about the quality of my line earlier. I hope you can hear me now.
I can hear you. It's a great line now.
Yeah, so the key for us is to ensure that the union of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is promoted. And we no longer can trust the DUP to be the guardians of political unionism, because they have literally said that the Irish Sea border no longer exists, when to any sensible, plain-minded, commonsensical man on the Clapham omnibus, it's obviously there. So we must stand with a party that has our belief, as TUV are absolutely rock solid on it, that there is an Irish Sea border and it must be removed. That's the fundamental aim that we have in reaching this alliance that we've now reached. We didn't want to get involved in Northern Irish politics. We were only going to stand in Great Britain, the 630 seats in Great Britain. But with the DUP declaring that the Irish Sea border doesn't exist, we've had to embroil ourselves in Northern Irish
Well, you're
politics.
called Reform UK. You're not called Reform GB.
Yeah, we're called Reform UK, but we saw the DUP and the TUV, and indeed to a lesser extent for reasons which may be obvious to listeners, the UUP as being collectively the guardians of unionism. But the UUP at least the UUP, by the way, now have the funny position of saying, the more robust position of saying that whilst they support the restoration of Stormont, they do not agree with the DUP that the RSC border has gone.
Okay.
You've almost got the UUP taking a stronger position. But I think the really important point here is that you now have...
There are lots of important points, but if you guys can please try to answer my question first time,
so
rather than making me ask it 4 times. I have so many questions I want to ask. If you believe in transparency, let's just be clear. Let's just be absolutely clear. Does this electoral partnership mean, for example, Ben, that Reform UK will be providing financial support to TUV to run candidates in every constituency, or not? What does it mean? Where does the rubber hit the road in the finances?
Reform UK, in the broadest context, including members of Reform UK, such as myself, will be providing financial support to the TUV, absolutely. And we will be providing them a voice in the UK, and we may stand candidates in Northern Ireland. We need to sit down, Richard and I need to sit down with Jim and Ron, and we need to war game how we get the result for anti-protocol, pro-British, optimistic vision of Northern Ireland within the Union. How can we do the best for all of Northern Ireland and get rid of the RSC border at the same time?
That is really clear. Thank you very much for that. So there will be a TUV